Okay, checking my volume. All right, and we are back. Had a little bit of a hiatus. I've been going through some light body upgrades around my ear, so I still have a lot of ear pain. I can't really hear out of that ear, so apologies if I start to shout. I don't think I will, but I'm going to keep an eye on my audio because I can't really hear much. It's been a little bit peaceful though, and you can't. A lot of people actually, when they go through certain parts of the journey, will wear earplugs all the time, and it's a way for them to kind of drown out the outside world and focus on their inner world. So I think this is a part of that, probably part of that process for me to not actually be able to hear out of one ear while it upgrades. So it's been kind of an interesting journey with the ear, because I normally am very you kind of start unraveling programs within programs. A lot of people find that after they spend a lot of time out of the human world, they don't want to be around anyone who is living from their human aspect at all. So they kind of don't want to deal with that. They don't want to deal with anyone who is in that human aspect. So they kind of develop a fear of humans in a sense. So you see a lot of people who are in certain parts of ascension where they don't really want to be around people in that aspect. And I've kind of gone a certain way with the human medical community in a sense, where I don't really partake in a lot of that stuff. I kind of felt like there are certain scenes where I had to follow a certain pattern here of different things my body needed to kind of get through this upgrade. And you're always going to have what you need to get through it and go through the stages you get through it. I had to take mine to a point where I was throwing up because of the ear stuff going on, to kind of cleanse a lot of stuff internally. That might seem kind of, hardcore for a lot of people, but a lot of people who go through this journey, we start to understand how important it is to go through the physical body stuff, because that's how you really purge the programming from the body. You can hold the consciousness long enough, but if you don't cleanse the body, then you're kind of missing the boat on what ascension really is. Ascension is just not holding the consciousness. It's just not touching the consciousness. It's holding it for long periods of time and then anchoring it in the body. That's what ascension is. Ascension is not just being able to meditate and hit the consciousness and then all of a sudden you just kind of forget about it and go on with your life. You have to embody it in. So I did want to take a lot of the time today and talk about opening up portals to different dimensions from inside the body and what that starts to feel like and how that starts to shape for us. Because in the beginning, we really don't understand what's going on. And plus, it's a little bit lighter. A little bit, I know I started off on some medical stuff, but a little bit lighter stuff, to kind of get into. But when you are going through different upgrades of the body, just really follow what your inner guidance tells you to do. If your inner guidance tells you, I need to go see, I need to go to, a doctor, then follow that advice. If it says, no, these are some, usually I do natural things. And that's what I've done for like the last 7 or 8 years, so you're gonna have to cleanse the body from a lot of that stuff in the beginning, so you don't have the dependency on that stuff. And then there'll be some times when you'll find yourself very resistant to going back to any of that stuff. And then you got to look at that program, because it could be you need to go through that to get to the next step. And we've talked a lot of that in just dimensions, where a lot of us will get to where we're very whole inside and we don't want to go through any more relationships, like typical relationships. So you really don't go through any kind of a typical relationship anymore. But what could resemble a relationship? That's why a lot of us will kind of get that twin flame relationships, even though everyone in your life is a twin. And all through your life, you're going to be meeting different twins, and whether they're romantic twins or not romantic twins. But we tend to take that into more the romantic part. That's kind of the part that we all remember, in a sense, the romantic part of a twin relationship. Those are the ones that we really link those words together with, because that's just kind of the programming we have of that. There'll be a lot of times that you'll get to a certain points in your ascension where you don't want to go through any more human relationships to that extent. They don't really interest you anymore. But you'll be shown you have to do it, and you don't understand why. But a lot of it is because it gets us to other places. It gets us to places inside we can't get to ourselves. It brings up a lot of stuff we can't bring up on our own. So it's sometimes interesting to really look at if we have resistance around something, and are we kind of doubling down on stuff that we might need for the next part of our journey. So it's kind of important to remember that, how you really feel about something, and whether it be, doing antibiotic, which I haven't done in so long, like probably almost like 7 or 8 years, where I was very resistant to that. And I had to really look at that resistance, because we're kind of also trying to break down all of that. Like, okay, is this something I need to do to get to the next phase? Is this something I need to do to clear out whatever is going on here? Did I wait long enough to clear out all this other stuff first? Those are the things we have to really look at. And if the answer is no, you're not supposed to do that stuff. You gotta work on the natural stuff for now. And there might be a time when you can't go back to that stuff anymore. So you really have to look at it. Now, technically, if you haven't gone through full body ascension, it doesn't so much matter the kind of the stuff that we do, in a sense of what we kind of put in our body. Now, we're going to have to clear everything we put in at some point. So everything I put in, I'm going to have to clear. So I'm very careful about what I put in my body in that sense. So we really need to focus on what we have resistance to and why. Because sometimes we get into the program within the program, we're resisting stuff that is kind of important to the next phase. Just follow the trail your universe leads you, because it will kind of lead you a trail. It might lead you here and say, okay, now for 3 days you do this. And if I just take it back to what I've been going through, I do this for 3 or 4 days, and then you're going to clear a certain part of this, then we're going to do this for 3 or 4 days. Now you got to go back here. Now you got to do this. And some of it is also putting our body in different places, because we do affect the people around us. It's not just us, in a sense. We might not want to go to certain places or do certain things, but we're supposed to go for others. Now, technically, we're always going to have something we're going to get out of it too. It's never just for us or just for someone else. It's always something we're going to get out of it too. And that's how we structure everything. That's how we do everything. Nothing doesn't have a point to it. And we do a lot of videos on deconstructing realities and pulling them apart. We do a lot of streams on really being able to recognize what's aligned, what's not aligned, and how to really start decoding. And I want to kind of get back into decoding a little bit, because that's kind of what I had to go back into this week, especially trying to just kind of decode what is going on. What is the highest aligned thing for me to do? What is the highest aligned thing, and how does that feel when you're doing the highest aligned thing? If you are not in complete peace when you are in a reality, then it is not aligned. And I've also akined it to, it doesn't make you happy. But sometimes we have to get back to, it doesn't bring you peace. Are you in a peaceful, connected place when you're in the reality? Is it shaking you off your peaceful place? Now, a lot of times we're going to be in certain places because we have to be shown we can be shaken. That's what your universe is trying to show you. No matter how tumultuous everything is around you, can you hold your highest aspect? Can you hold that inner peace? Can you kind of hold that down? If you cannot hold that down, and you're going unconscious, or you're going back into your human programming, and you're getting into a battle of egos over whatever it is, that is a massive sign on why you're sometimes in a reality, especially if you know you were supposed to be there. Because you're learning is this going to knock you off? Is this going to knock you off? Can you still connect to listen, no matter what's going on around you? No matter if your body's in a lot of pain, or whether if people are arguing around you, if the whole house is in complete disarray, whether you got flooding downstairs. It's been a rough couple of weeks as far as different things getting thrown at me. And I have a feeling that a lot of that probably has to do with the eclipse energy also. A lot of things coming to completion, whether they be realities coming to completion or just your body templates coming to completion. You're going to have to see what knocks you off, and what can you hold. And can you look at what is really the best thing for me to do right now? What is the highest line thing that I can do? Am I supposed to go do this? Am I supposed to go, take this product or take this product? And you really have to be able to connect and listen. And in the beginning, we're not really connected in that sense. And now I'll just say, if it's not highest aligned, then I'm not going to take part of it. So if this is not highest aligned, then will figure out what is, and I'll be able to see what is. So always going to kind of be in this really feeling out what your realities are. And if you're not in complete peace in that reality, is it a reality that's throwing you off to show you, to teach you in a sense? Now you got to come back in, you got to center again, and because you can't really leave that space until you are really centered back in that reality. You know, you can't really leave that space until you have completely mastered it. You know, and not from a physical sense, not from I'm supposed to check off these 7 things and I got here and I checked off those 7 things and now I can leave. It's energetically mastering yourself in that reality. It's never about the outside reality. That's where a lot of us will get kind of hung up on, and sometimes I'll still get hung up on that. You know, like, oh, I have all these things I got to do, but those are not any of the reasons you're really here. These are just the reasons your human things you're here to check off these boxes. You know, sell this house, or you know, mend fences, you know, clear ancestral karma in a sense. Do this, do that. Assist these people, go do this, go do that. And you kind of continue to find like it's one thing right after the other, but it's not the physical thing that you're there to really do. You're also there to do the energetic part. You're also there to really see, can I stay centered? You know, because I can't leave this reality till I've mastered it, where nothing really throws me off. And if you can stay 100% in your highest aspect in some of these environments, and that's what you're kind of trying to show yourself. Now, in the long run, putting yourself in a lot of these environments where you have a lot of people that are not spinning at the rate you're spinning at, that won't hold forever, because it will eventually impede what you have to do, because you can't get as much work done if there's a lot of people in your field. You can't really master what you need to master when there's a lot of stuff going on. So there's parts of this journey where you're going to know, could I stay here? Yes. You know, could I still be at my highest, still put out work, still assist other people, whether it be, you know, both online and in person? Yes. But is my body going to be able to reach the highest vibration it can reach while I'm here? You know, is it going to be able to do that? And if it's not going to be able to do that, then I know I can't stay here. Not long term, because we can't really quantum jump and jump into different realities and continue to increase our body frequency if we stay in the same place. So you're always going to be in a reality to master that reality, and then you're going to move on to another reality. It's very different than our human existence, where we kind of sit in one place for a really long period of time because we didn't move quick enough to get our vibration up to a certain point. Yes, our vibration gets up to a certain point. Our body's vibration will continue to increase, but you're still going to be setting with the body vibration in the 3s through your whole human existence until you start bringing the body vibration up, and that's more through ascension and clearing through awakening and then going into your ascension process. You're still going to be in the 3s. You might start out in the lower. Well, you're going to start out higher because you're a child. As you grow, you're going to go, you know, your body vibration is going to dip. But you're still always going to be in that the 3 range. Your body vibration, unless you go through ascension, is not going to be able to pull out of that. And that's what happens through physical death, is so much of the soul enters the body that the body can't handle it. It kind of short circuits the body, and it just, you know, the body does die because the ego dies. It's almost an instant ego death in a sense, because there's so much that goes into your body all at one time that's why you get that part at the end where people can look a lot healthier than they did before. And it always kind of seems contrary, you know, that all of a sudden they're gone and they look the best they've ever looked the day before. Because of all that soul influx, all that light comes into their body, it can also de-age them quite a bit, and then all of a sudden they're gone. Because their body couldn't handle it. Whereas when you go into ascension, you're doing that consciously, but you're doing that soul integration over linear time, because your body needs a certain amount of time to kind of rewrite templates and redo things and come up with the next thing, come up with the next thing, and come up with the next thing you have to do. You know, clear here, now we got to go do this, now we got to go do this, now we got to go do this. So you're always going to be in ever-changing realities. And when we really get into the meat of that, which I've been in the meat of that now for a couple of years, a lot, probably longer than that, maybe 3 or 4. I don't even remember anymore. Doesn't really matter, I guess. Nobody really cares. But when you're in the middle of rearranging a lot of stuff and letting a lot of stuff go and knowing that these are and then recognizing the ones you're really attached to. You know, you're starting to recognize the realities you're super attached to, starting to recognize the realities that you don't want to leave because you have a cord of attachment to it. You're not quite ready to walk away from that. You really start to see the ones you kind of have to work on. You know, the ones you have to release the attachment to, the ones that are going to shift and change organically. And the more you allow that part of the process to go organically, and you don't really get bogged down on so much on what's going on. You know, you don't really get so bogged down on all the changes, but you just embrace the journey. And it takes a while for us to do that because that's not our natural beat, in a sense, is not to embrace the journey. And I know I see tons of people in their human aspect saying, oh God, I love change. It's the best thing in the world. Change is the best. You know, and there's an issue with, not really an issue, but there's a part of the human aspect where change isn't running away. They will call it change, but it's really running away because they don't want to deal with the reality they made, so they want to keep switching it up. It's kind of like, you know, a Rubik's Cube. They keep trying to turn it one way, turn it the other way, but at the end of the day, it's still kind of a mess no matter which way you turn it. You might try to get one side figured out, and then you got to go back and get the other side, but when you try to get the other side, you fuck up the side you just did. So when we are leading from our human aspect, we come into a lot of these type of, you know, quagmire is the word I'm getting, but that's not a word I usually use. I don't really, not a word I usually use. We just come into a lot of these things that seem to contradicts themselves. It just seems to be like a layer upon a layer upon a layer and a program upon a program and upon a program. And that's when that interconnection is so important. It's so important to be able to really be able to look inside and see what is going on. What is going on with me? What did knock me off in this reality? You know, is my body tired? Am I not giving my body enough time by itself? Is it just too chaotic here? Because what I was saying before, you can't hold forever in that reality. In those realities where you are around people that are living from their human aspect, there's still an aspect of you. So they're still showing you, you know, where you still have, even if it's just on a DNA level, you're still attached to that collective in a sense, or they couldn't really be in your reality at all. You're there to expand them out, but there might only be a certain amount you're going to be able to do. People who enter your life are entering your life to be awakened. You know, and you get to a certain vibration and you get to doing certain parts of your ascension. People enter your life for that. They might not know that's why they're here. 9 times out of 10, they don't know why that's why they're here. They don't know why they're there. But that's our responsibility. You know, we know why they're there. You know, no matter who it is. Anyone who comes into my reality, I know it's their time. Now, is it their time to go from awakening to ascension and do the whole journey with me and we're all kumbayaing together? Probably not. Is it their time to start waking up, and then I might not see him for years upon years, or I might never see him again, or they might come back in 3 or 4 years later or a year later and then do another part of their journey? Possibly. Is it just to touch base with people here and there and they have their own, you know, expansion, and then they go on because they still have human stuff they want to do? They're still not done with the human realities, and because what I'll try to do is take that human belief and that human reality and try to cram in higher aligned realities, and it doesn't work because they're on 2 different templates. They're 2 different frequencies. They don't exist together. So that's where a lot of us will spin our wheels for quite a while, wondering why it doesn't work, because it can't work that way. Now, technically, we're not spinning our wheels forever because we are going to be working through our stuff, just not as quickly as it would be if we would see, you know, that's not going to work. But we try to do that because we don't really believe there's another way. And we haven't remembered 100% the other way, and we're a little scared of the other way, to be 100% honest. We don't want to make the big changes. And anyone who tells me they love the shit out of change, that's their ego talking to me, and that's not really the change we're talking about. When you have to uproot everything and rearrange the whole thing, that's a big change. It's not changing a job, or I'm going to move to this location, but everyone I know is going with me, you know, or I'm going to move here, but I'm still still playing out the same program. I'm just going to play it out in another spot. You know, I'm not really getting to the crust of what I'm doing. Now, everything we do is for a reason, and everything we do, even from our human consciousness, is guided by our higher consciousness, even if we don't realize that's what's guiding us. You know, we're not moving to that place because we got a great job there. We're moving to that place because we are going to activate a portal there. We're going to activate a frequency there that our body can't hit on its own. So we got to take our body to that place, you know, because that's where we need to go. I'm going to go back to a place I used to be because in my DNA, I still have a frequency of that old place there. And by putting my body back in that old place, I can start clearing that out of my body. That's why we will kind of gravitate back to places we just moved from or places we used to be for maybe a year or so until we no longer feel the need to do that anymore, because our body has been cleansed of that lower frequency. Because usually we keep moving up to higher frequency places. So we'll put ourselves back in these old places to clear that stuff from the body. And once we clear that stuff from the body, then we move on to the next place. And we kind of continue to do that. But then after a while, you will find there's no reason for me to go back there. You know, a lot of people will find that when they graduate from college, they'll go back and visit, and they'll have this reason like, oh, because I still have friends there. So nothing about your friends there. Now, in a sense, it's going to still be soul contracts you have with those people. So I don't want to 100% discount that, but there's so many other reasons why you're there to continue to clear that out of your body. But after a while, I don't go back there anymore. Or I used to live in Virginia Beach years and years ago, and I went back quite a bit for a year or so after I moved from there, and then I haven't been in like 20 years or 15 years. I think I went for one funeral, maybe in the past 10 years, because there's no call for me to go for a clearing sense. Now, because I don't hold that in the body anymore. So you feel no need to go to these places, but a lot of times when we do take our body to different places, we're taking our body there because we can't hit that energetic frequency. We can't open up that portal without going there. You know, we have to go there. We have to put our body there. We have to be in the middle of that spot. A lot of people go to Napa Valley. Napa Valley is a big vortex, and a lot of people will go there. A lot of people go to the pyramids. A lot of people go to a lot of sacred sites all around the world. The Machu Picchu, I don't know if I'm saying that right. I can't remember what it is called, but there are a lot of people who go to different spaces all around the globe because they feel a call to go there. You know, they feel a call to go there because they have to open up a portal within themselves. Eventually you get to an energetic place within yourself where you can open up that portal and not have to go to Egypt to do that. You know, you can get into your ancient Egyptian bloodlines and get into your ancient Egyptian aspects and clear that whole timeline of ancient Egypt within yourself without taking yourself to Egypt. But there are times when we have not gained that capacity yet. We haven't gained that capability yet. We haven't cleared enough of our own stuff to be able to hit that, because it's all in our DNA. Technically, we don't. If we could tap into all this stuff in the beginning, we don't have to move our body anywhere. But because we don't have, there's too much stuff in the way, we will find ourselves going to all these places. And a lot of people go to those places and think, okay, this is the end. You know, I did it and it's done. Normally, pretty much all the time, that's just the beginning. You're just opening up that portal. You still got to walk through the whole thing. And that's why when we talk about, this whole thing was supposed to be on portals, and it ended up not being on portals. So I'll have to do some supplemental material later on portals. But we could have been another 2-year process where we're walking through that portal. You know, you're just kind of opening up the energy. You're activating the consciousness. You still have to embody the consciousness, which means everything that's not that consciousness has to be cleared out of your body and out of your reality. And that's where the embodiment process can be daunting, and why it can take 2 years if you're giving it everything you got. And for some people, 10, 15 years to do one aspect, because they might not want to let go of the things that prevent that aspect from embodying in. So they're doing the long game in a sense. You know, they're not taking it quickly because they don't want to have to, in a sense. They don't want to have to say goodbye to this stuff. They're okay with keeping in the disruptions And we really have to start to look at what are the disruptions? What knocks me off? What is not peaceful? What is not, where am I at? Where am I not at peace? And when I started taking it back to that, because I have been shifting up a lot of realities the last 9 months, moving to another place, being around people, which I haven't been around in 10 or 15 years, been around a lot of people as far as where I lived. Really being able to see what is it here that doesn't work. What is in the long run when in our human existence, we'll say, oh my God, if it's going to be like this forever, I don't want to be here forever. It's kind of funny when you say that now, because shit, it's not going to last forever. I mean, nothing does. Nothing ever does. And you really start to see that the subtle shifts and changes of how that works. The subtle shifts and changes on what's going on there. So we really want to look at where are we not connected? Because I can already see in this reality where, a lot of the decluttering is starting to go. A lot of other people in the house are starting to assist with the decluttering because their vibrations getting to a point where they can't take it anymore. They have to start cleaning stuff up, which enables maybe us to stay longer places, but you get to that core part, at some point it won't hold. At some point my vibration will be too high and it can't hold here anymore, and it'll start to hamper the next thing. So, and that's usually when we start feeling more discomfort, because sometimes we get in a certain reality where we might not want to go back on our own again in this sense, we might not want to go, but we have to look at all the stuff we learned there. And then we can look and go, okay, I can exist around other people. Now, if I had to pick certain people I want to exist around, would I have picked these people? Probably not, for different reasons, just because everyone's in such a different vibration. But there's a reason you're here, to show, can you still hold it? Even when you're around people that are like that. Even when you're around people, and that's not to judge where anybody is, it's just when everyone's in a different place, everything in your reality, everything in your energy field affects your vibration. It's no way it can't affect your vibration. So I noticed as I've gotten to this part of the year where my vibration has gotten higher, and I have been also will be around other people sometimes to help us hold down certain parts of the reality, as far as like the house and getting the trash out, and we're going down for really heavy body clearings, which I've had a couple pretty big body clearings the last couple of months that have kind of knocked me down for days at a time, or with this, like a week at a time. And I hadn't really been used to that. I might have gone down here and there for a day or two, but when I lived by myself, I still had to have everything in the house going. I still had to get the bills paid. I still got to get the trash out. I still got to clean the house. Just so many things I still had to do. Still got to feed the cat. I got to clean the cat litters. All those mundane things. But when you're the only one in the reality to do any of that stuff, then your light body will assist you in that sense. It won't take you down until you get to a place where you can go down. And when you have other people in the reality that they can take out the trash, they can feed the cat, they can scoop the cat litter if they have to for a day or two, until I'm once again able to do that stuff again. So you'll also start to see that pattern too. So, all right, I do want to open the chat up. Hopefully, I think I fixed that last time. Yeah, I did fix it. So when you look back, it's always kind of easier, I think, sometimes to either look at someone else's reality and how their reality is playing out and start dissecting theirs, because you don't have the attachment to theirs. You don't have that physical, you don't have the emotional stuff that can blur it. Because what blurs what we can see in our connection is that our attachment we have to it. So we don't want to see it. People's like, I don't like the choice. Or I didn't get a choice. Well, you got a choice. You don't like the choice. I didn't get an answer. Yeah, you got an answer. You don't like the answer, but you got one. So when we're kind of going through a lot of this stuff, it's really important to really look at what works, what doesn't work. Because when we start talking about portals, which I didn't really talk about today, but I should change the title of the sucker. I will do something on my YouTube channel about portals, so I'll film that after this. When we start to really look at what's working, what's not working, sometimes it is easier to look back because you're going to have a higher consciousness and a higher body vibration than you did before. So you're going to be able to see things you weren't going to be able to see before just because you're at a higher consciousness. You can always align things from a higher conscious looking back down on them. You cannot align it when you're in the middle of it. You cannot align it when your conscious and your body vibration are the same and you're in that reality because you can't see it. You can't see the distortion. And not only if you can't see the distortion, you can't see how to align it. You just get kind of swept up in it. But when you look back on it, you can really start to kind of decode it and see why this is working. Why did this not work? What was going on here? Now I can kind of pull that apart. Start pulling apart other people's. That is a great way to start to see how their realities are shaping and how they're creating what they're creating. And when are we kind of getting in the mud in a sense and trying to maybe force our reality on other people? And why are we doing that? Because we're always doing that because of something we want. We always want everyone to experience some parts of ascension can be rough, but we also want people to experience that connection. And when you see people that aren't, and they're people that you do care about, you kind of want everyone to come on the journey with you. You kind of want everyone to be with you. You don't want to, you kind of start to feel like the Marines. You don't want to leave anybody behind, and in a sense, you don't so much leave them behind, you just go on. And there is a difference in that. There's a difference between leaving someone behind and going on. Because you're not leaving them because of an anger. You're not leaving them to punish them. You're leaving them because they're not going where you're going right now. It doesn't mean they might not ever. It just means they're not right now. And it would almost be like trying to take them to a place their body can't exist. You can't take them to a different planet in a sense. And when you start going on your ascension, people call it New Earth. You technically are on a different planet. Your realities are not like other people's realities. They don't mesh the same way. And when you start to do that, you start to pull out of these realities and leaving people that you wish everyone could come with you, you start to understand that it's going to hamper them to do that. One, they could become very dependent on you and taking on all their stuff they have to clear. And that might not be your role. A lot of times that's not our role. And there'll be certain times when it might be. You'll know those times. You'll know the people you're supposed to that are going to stay. But if you find there's a lot of resistance and people don't want to go on where you're going, in a sense, it's kind of like we have to understand that we're kind of paving the way for the next group of people. And whether that's that particular person or it's a whole another group of souls that's going to follow in our footsteps, in a sense, or just follow the path we're creating, it doesn't so much matter which soul it is. If we have work to do in that capacity, that's what we're going to do. And it doesn't so much matter what their journey is going to be, and it doesn't have to be all wrapped up in ours. It's just we're laying the foundation for someone. It just might not be them. It's not their time yet. And when they're having a lot of resistance, you technically don't want them there because it will hamper your vibration. You will start to see it. It'll sort of hamper what you can create. It'll start to hamper your creativity. It'll start to hamper all those things. You're not going to be able to do certain things. And then you're going to start to suffer for that. Sometimes we don't see it until we start to suffer for that. And, you might see all your money start to go. You might find that you don't have time to really be in creation mode because you're trying to pick up all the pieces so someone else's reality doesn't collapse, which is very kind of one-sided because they might need the collapse. Even if we don't want to watch it and we know it could be a rough ride, we understand that there's a reason they have to go through that. There's a reason it has to happen that way. So, all right, I think that's pretty good for today. So I will see everyone next time, and I'll talk about portals. I will get to that. I'm going to actually change the title on this one. Okay.